Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not making this up. This is Time Magazine. Trump search inventory reveals empty folders marked classified. Who keeps empty folders? Who keeps empty folders marked classified? Okay, you think there's potentially a reason for this? Could he have planted this knowing very well that Merrick Garland would go after his direct political rivals? That the Department of Justice would be politicized, which is exactly what they accused Trump of doing with William Barr, which was hilarious because the opposite was true. But here, this is Time Magazine. Washington, FBI agents who searched former President Donald Trump's Florida home last month found empty folders marked with classified banners according to more detailed inventory of the material made public by the Justice Department. Okay. They now have 33 boxes. 15 of those boxes were returned in February. Okay? And we'll talk about why that's important in a couple of minutes. But Donald Trump, what followed the Mar-a-Lago raid, Newsweek, you have safes that were empty. Federal Bureau of Investigation agents broke into former President Donald Trump's empty safe at his Mar-a-Lago residence, according to his son Eric Trump. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'm reading a Newsweek article about an empty safe and a Time Magazine article about empty folders. Now, it is very possible. There's actually an Arizona Republic article on Trump possibly, here, AZ Central, sorry. Yeah, I believe it's Arizona Republic. Was Donald Trump the mastermind of the Mar-a-Lago raid? And the author, Michael Wolff, according to him, stated that stated that Trump actually predicted what would take place. Saying something, could you imagine if they went after my home? And so, hit subscribe to this channel right now. You can't make this stuff up. And it could be an epic trolling. He could very well be daring them to indict him. And, quote, my beautiful home. Here's the quote. My beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. Okay, so hold on one second. Wolff wrote that he was prepared. Trump said to him that those, right here, let them come. If they think they can get away with that, they probably think they can. How stupid can you get? Something like that. Basically, he was almost daring them and predicted one day they would storm his home, according to Michael Wolff. And so you have to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're almost at 200,000. We're actually going to zoom past 200,000 subs very soon. Have a safe Labor Day and a happy one, and just stay safe. Stay off the roads at night, and just, be with friends, family, people you trust and love, and have a great day. And God bless you. Hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and also H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll be doing a lot more work very soon on those other two channels. We're almost at 20,000 subs on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Let's get it to 20,000 subs. We hit 20,000 and we're like 2 or 3 below 20,000. So you could be the 20,000th sub on H.A. Goodman's other channel. If you want to be part of my Patreon, your support is greatly appreciated. To my new Patreons, thank you. If you want to give a super thanks, your super thanks support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And, ladies and gentlemen, so if you look, you have a situation. Here's an AZ Central article. Was Donald Trump the mastermind of the Mar-a-Lago raid? Then you have a Newsweek article. Rated safe was empty, Eric Trump says. Then you have a Time magazine article says Trump search inventory reveals empty folders marked classified. You think the man who's known to be a billionaire in real estate possibly has more places to store presidential data? Now, this belief that he has to, as a president, return all the documents, that's true. Under the Presidential Records Act, which does not list any fine, much less, no jail time, much less fine. There's no enforcement mechanism. Okay? They might actually indict him in just to be petulant and malicious for owning these documents after he was president, when technically he had to give them back to the U.S. government. The only problem is that he's a former president, and there's no precedent stating that a former president can be indicted for owning documents that he once owned as president. Now you might say, well, this is a national security concern. What happens if another country gains access to those government records? Comey stated, although there is potential violations of the legal statutes pertaining to the handling of classified data, no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case against Clinton. That was with a secret server network for 4 years, funneling and siphoning and transferring top secret and special access program and classified data outside of the United States government, according to James Comey's own words. The precedent was that high-level officials, well, the precedent is that if you're a Democrat, you can get social media algorithms to prevent any discussion of, to stifle and suppress and silence and censor any discussion about Hunter's emails, which are actual clear violations of the law. If you read them in the New York Post, they're clear violations of the law, okay? But you can stifle that discussion. You can kind of slow walk and, take your time with investigating and, never indict Hunter, or maybe, create some kind of plea deal where he pleads guilty to certain crimes and, doesn't really get, justice for Democrats is different than justice for Trump. They've been investigating Trump for 6 years. They have yet to find anything. The reason I think they might indict him is because they have nothing to run on in 24. They don't even have anything to run on in 22. They have all of media from Jimmy Kimmel to the New York Times to the Washington Post to loyalists who just were resigned from the Federal Bureau of Investigation the other day. They have almost the entire American political system and Hollywood and other industries leveled against Trump. Still half the country, half the electorate is going to side with Trump. I want a great economy. We had household median incomes at record highs under Trump. It was a record high. Fact. That's not conjecture, hyperbole. It's not something I heard. It's according to CNN. It's according to the St. Louis Fed. It's according to all the economic data. We had household median incomes at record highs. We had poverty at a record low. Since it was recorded since 1959, it was a record low under Trump. Okay? You vote Trump for his policies that cause these great economic numbers. You vote Democrat only because you despise Trump, and you're willing to deal with a recession, and you're willing to deal with a terrible economy, and you're willing to convince yourself that you're morally superior when half the country's laughing at you. You're not morally superior when you're covering up actual crimes with Hunter and legitimate national security issues and crimes with secret servers running outside of the United States government. You couldn't even have a secret server. And I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. I want a Hillary Trump 2024. But Trump is a master at trolling and getting Democrats to he lost the narrative his last year in office. He went a little too far on social media. He shouldn't have said or done certain things, but his presidency, if you just remove the apoplectic and hysterical and maniacal coverage of Trump, he had a great presidency. You rank a president based on the economy and foreign policy. Abraham Accords, Doha Agreement, first president stepped foot in North Korea, household median incomes at record highs, poverty at a record low, hundreds of thousands of new manufacturing jobs, trade deals being renegotiated. He did a great thing. Anyone who says, well, he abandoned the working class or his voters, like, what are you talking about? Every demographic group, people who didn't have college degrees, for example, just high school degrees, they had record highs in household median income, okay, or personal incomes. Every group, you can look at the St. Louis Fed or the Federal Reserve charts. You could look at, this group, that group, people without diplomas, people with just a high school, all these different segments of the population were doing better under Trump than they are now. Now we have, because of Biden's policies and because of the smartest people in the room, inflation that will stay with us for years. We're going to have a prolonged recession. We might have anemic economic growth in the third quarter and then negative growth in the fourth quarter and the beginning of 2023. We're going to go into 2022 with a market tanking further, and we're going to go into 24 with potentially a terrible, terrible long-term recession and a stock market collapse of epic proportions. They almost have no choice but to indict Trump. I think he knows this, and he very likely planted empty folders, an empty safe. He's very likely daring them to indict him. I think they almost have to indict him in terms of politics. Will they win a court trial? No. There's no precedent, and James Comey made a huge issue of intent and precedent. There was intent to hide with Secret Servers. There is intent to engage in graft and bribery by introducing the vice president in the West Wing with business associates. We don't know what the intent was with Trump. It could be that he has information that potentially damaging to loyalists to the Democratic Party within government. Who knows? They haven't indicted him yet, which means they don't have an airtight case. They don't have a case where they could win in a court of law. If they could win in a court of law, they would definitely indict him before the midterms. If they could win in a court of law, they would, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, indict Donald Trump. Winning in a court of law and actually proving that he committed a crime is not what they're focused on. They're focused on an obsession, a maniacal, hysterical, apoplectic, laser-focused obsession. It's become a religion. They think that Trump devours worlds, and he is the embodiment of evil and criminality and corruption. Meanwhile, they're actively suppressing, media and algorithms to prevent any discussion about their corruption, which is infinitely more rampant and corrupt. And the thing is, you'd have to actually read the New York Post and Daily Mail, National Review, Federalist has amazing investigative journalism and opinion pieces on a lot of the things going on that people don't read. That wonderful, morally superior, left-leaning liberal Democrats don't know about. But ladies and gentlemen, there's probably the long game that Trump is playing is go ahead and indict me. If he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of American politics, Trump. They indict him, he gets more popular, and he'll flip the script. See, his last year in office, he lost control of the media narrative. They gained political fuel, momentum, energy, enthusiasm with contempt for Trump. They're reaching a point of diminishing returns, just focusing only on Trump. Okay? The mashed potato brains with the red background, it was so sad and pathetic. The last person on this planet who should talk about morality is mashed potato brains Joe. He's the last person who should pontificate and preach about morality as, wrote the portion of the crime bill with a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for narcotics that Hunter was accused of having possession of and using. You talk about that, and then you talk about what he was accused of before November by an individual that, of course, the New York Times and others tried to suppress. and morally superior liberal Democrats say, well, Trump was accused by more people. It's like, well, that's not the way life works. If you have a moral standard, then you should abide. If you are going to preach and pontificate that you should believe, then okay. But again, it's called hypocrisy. Then you have, endless lies pertaining to a whole bunch of things. But voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. Libya, during President Obama's tenure, was a catastrophe that Democrats won't even acknowledge. Libya alone is worse than anything by far that happened during Trump's administration. Anything. And you get barely any discussion about that in the New York Times, the Washington Post. That failed intervention destroyed a country for basically a generation. And so anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Trump, although he's made mistakes, is likely a lot smarter than the establishment thinks he is, and he very likely has a better hand in terms of poker, and in terms of the cards that he's holding, he probably has a better hand than Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland can indict him. That would, boost support for Democrats for the first month or two. And then people will realize that, they don't have a case against him. He's a former president. He had the right to hold those documents. And then his attorneys will be everywhere. Then Trump can say, hey, look, they're going after their direct political rival. And they'll lose in the polls to an indicted Trump, which would be hilarious, but what they deserve. Give me your thoughts below. I want a great economy and a great foreign policy. You're not going to get that with Democrats. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Have a great, safe Labor Day. God bless you.